This is probably one of the most important lives I'm going to be a part of. Waiting for my guy Jason to. Waiting for Jason to kick in here. There we go.
Yo,
Salute, my God. You
what's
showered,
up,
you
bro?
fresh, you
Hey,
refreshed. My man got the premium do rag.
hey, man. This is how I'm protective hairstyles, bro.
You gotta
My
gotta
hair,
keep
to be honest, my hair is just a mess, man. Like
man.
no cut.
That's everybody, man. In
That's
this
that's
here quarantine season.
that's the Corona look, man.
Yeah,
It's
man.
tough. It's tough
How
out
are
here.
you? How are you? Are you doing like Zoom with your students now, or how is the dynamic? How is it
Oh
working out?
yeah, man. We're using Google Meet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Google Meet is actually pretty good. It's interactive, so me and the
Mm-hmm.
students jump on there. We meet live once a week, but then I'm teaching the entire week, just checking in with them. To be honest, I really don't want to overload them with work because there are people dealing with so many different things during this time.
Mm-hmm.
Some kids, mental issues. Some kids are not even getting a chance to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's tough, man. It's tough, and so I'm just making sure that sometimes I just get on there just to talk to them. Like, y'all just talk to me, tell me what's going on, how y'all feeling.
Talk to me nice. Talk to me
Yeah,
different.
talk to me different, man. Just man. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's good. It's a tough time, but we
How
put it
how
through.
are- how are you, using this time to personally? I know you are not just a teacher, but also creative as well, working on a couple different projects for years in the making now. The Of One Blood project got a soundtrack, a book attached to it, and of
Yeah.
course the flagship, which is a short film. Like, how are you using this time to, some build on that?
Well, I'm definitely using this time to actually I took like a brief little bit. I really haven't touched on the project much in the last month or two because I'm finishing
Hmm.
out my master's. Um, but certainly one thing that I've been doing just the other day as I announced officially I can put, and as one of my titles, you know, I'm a filmmaker.
Ooh.
I'm officially a filmmaker right now because the film part of the project is completed.
Hmm.
That was very, very exciting, to be honest with you, to be able to do. And now I'm now strategizing how I want to put it out to the world, along with the rest of the One Blood project. I'm locking down to just finish up on my own book and make sure that it's complete and ready to go. And the album.
When you say the film part is finished, like, because
Yeah,
I know you've been working on this thing for years.
yeah.
What do you mean it's finished now, and saying like finally having that title as a
Like
filmmaker?
I'm talking about the editor like exported it over to me. that's
Mm,
that's literally what I mean by it's complete. Like
mm-hmm.
totally complete. So um it's exciting, man. It's exciting, especially when you've been working on something for years. You've cried about it, you've shed tears,
Spent a
you've
lot of
worked hard.
money on it.
Exactly. You spend so much money, but that's that's the beauty of it, and I'm excited
Mm-hmm.
that that's happening. But yo, enough about me, man. Right back to you, dog. Like we both get a chance to celebrate me and to celebrate all that I'm doing. But yo, man.
Shout out to everybody who's watching right now. If you have
Yes,
questions about anything, put it
drop
in
it,
the comment section. We are going to
drop it,
answer it.
drop it.
Um, but yeah, man, shoot.
Yes, yes. I know now. Like, let me turn around. Let me really interview you because I've gotten a front row seat to this
Yeah.
for a while, and it's been exciting, man. Like when you hit me up, back literally not even in September. You hit me up way before that.
Yes.
You hit me up in like August, like actually late
Yeah.
July, August, and you told me yo, this is my idea, this is what I got, this is what I got, this is what I got. Yo, can you take this, my scripts? And at that time, it was just like different pieces of chapters that you had pulled together, kind of haphazardly, and just pulled together and put it together. And you're like, yo, let me read this. And when I read it, like I remember reading it the first time, I was like, well, you got something here, right? And I remember, like, I printed it out and I wrote down all my notes and all of that stuff. And then I told you, yo, let's sit down and we talk. And that's where that picture sort of came from. But it was definitely like so beautiful to be able to see somebody. And once I felt the passion in you, I was like, yo, this John gonna be good, right? And I remember distinctly saying to myself and remembering the words of one of my favorite poets, Jasmine Mans, who says that, your story does not begin till you start telling the truth. And when you and I had that conversation, and I saw how personal it was to you, but even how much so this wasn't only about you dealing with the hurt, but how you are able to use your own story for other people, right? And that's essentially why we as writers, why we as storytellers tell stories. This is the purpose. So I just want you to speak on that beginning phase, because a lot of people don't understand, like, this is work, man.
Yeah. It's incredible work. And like, so like you touched on it, it was and still remains something that is like important to me as far as like getting that message out there and creating conversations and opening up forums. That's why I just came from delivering a copy of the book, actually. So that's why I personally deliver, like, when somebody places an order and it's in Bowie or Baltimore, around the area, I personally go deliver it, because I get to, even though, so we stand at 6 feet in this nature of time, have these conversations with people. Why did you write this book? What is it about? Like, what is your experience with, like cross-cultural relationship, tribalism, or even just hurt in relationship? It's a beautifully crafted story about just the power of love and the power of, like outside forces and the influence that they can have on that. I think, for one, as an author, that's what I want people to come away thinking from this story. But I just really felt so passionate about it, because I was looking around, and I say this a lot. In my zip code 20707, there's 5 people alone that I know who have gone through, like the pain of not being able to, like enjoy the happiness and joy of knowing a loved one. You know what I mean? Like, personally, my situation. And I can't, like 100% certain to say it was God's will that, like it ended how we ended, and that we went through what we went through, because it made that person who they are today, and it made me who I am today. But for me to be able to tell this story as honest as it is for people to see like how real this thing is. I just had a reader who got their hands on an early version of the book, hitting me up on IG like, yo, I had to put it down after chapter 4. Like, Giannis is pissing me off, or Demi is pissing me off. And then they read a couple chapters, they're like, whoa, this stuff is really happening. And they're oblivious, to like these things that people in this culture just have to go through. And I'm like, yeah, this is real stuff, like, and I just love seeing different people's perspective and how they wrestle with it. You know what I mean? People who are familiar with cross-cultural relationships, with tribalism, with people who were like, I had no idea, and that's the joy of it, really.
Yes, yeah. I think that I can share with the readers that anger, because I remember I texted you. I texted you after I read, and guys, I'm talking about, like, this is the raw. Like, this book was in its elementary stage. You know what I'm saying? We were still trying to figure out, if the characters should be a certain way, how the characters would be portrayed, settings and different types of things. But I remember distinctly after reading, I think at that time it was chapter 8. And I hit a reflex. I was like, yo, I'm mad at you, bro. Like, I'm I hit him up. I was like, yo, I'm mad at you, bro. Like, because to me, it was almost, unconscionable to not fight for what you love, right? Right? To me, it was almost foreign. Like, I certainly do understand the impact of the tribes and you know, and that's something that's actually deeply seated in Africa. But I genuinely believe in the power of love, right? I
Hmm.
really do. I really believe in the power. So I was especially mad at Reflex that that happened in the book. That I was just like, oh, and I'm not dropping no spoilers. I'm sorry, y'all. I promise I'm not dropping no
You
spoilers
haven't
for
even
y'all,
read
so y'all can
the
enjoy the
like
book.
last version, and I'm doing that on purpose because
Yes,
I want you to get
yes,
the full experience as a reader. But yeah, man, like
yes,
and I
yeah,
really and I still have audio because I asked Jason's approval before doing this. I have raw audio,
yes,
recordings of you giving
yeah.
me, saying like feedback from the book in
Feedback.
this early
Yep,
stage, and
yep,
I really appreciated that because at the time I felt like at the time, well, I didn't feel like at the time I was writing a one-sided story, really. You know what I mean? Like a
yep,
story from really just one person's point of view, and not
yeah,
really giving each character a chance to develop and grow and make mistakes, and you know what I mean, like and you know what I'm saying, like find redemption and in their faults, and so
mm,
that really, I gotta thank you for that. That really shaped, what I'm saying, like Yana's character a lot because at the
yes.
time he was a hero, you know what I mean?
Hmm,
He
hmm,
was just like he was just coasting. And I was like, yo,
hmm.
this is yeah, you give me a different perspective, and I'm really grateful for that because it gave me a chance to paint to really, paint a different side of him that the reader otherwise would not have been exposed to. Like, yo, this is really just a cat
Yeah,
who is really feeling the pressure from,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying, like from everything that's going out and that's going on, and he responds differently, and it may or may not have cost him a lot. So I'm gonna
yes,
leave that for people to go.
yes. Well, and and one thing that we definitely want to do as well. Granted that you just stated that, I'm into this. I want y'all to literally, and we gonna start this off tomorrow when y'all start reading, really, right? And when y'all get your hands on the book, we want to see what team y'all on, right?
Yo,
Like, what team you on? You know, are you team, are you team Yaz, or
Team Debbie or Team Yacht?
yeah,
We starting
what
team.
team you on, right? Because it's very easy, and I had to speak with Reflex about this. It's very easy as a writer because normally you're telling the story from your point of view,
Yes.
right? And it's very easy to be able to do that. So as a writer, you can choose to tell the story in multiple ways. You can tell
Yes.
it from first person, which is your point of view,
Yes.
right? From the second person, which is their point of view. Dominic says, "Whoever the woman is, I'm on her team."
I'm
Um,
working. Oh
um,
man.
or you can tell it from like an outsider looking in,
Yes.
right? And I think that the power in this story, especially, is Reflex being able to pull back and say, "Okay, cool. Like I'm literally making myself look good here, right? Am I considering that? Okay, how did Demi feel about this, right? What was she
Hmm.
feeling like, literally having to fight between the person that she loves and her family, right?
Hmm.
Um, and it's very easy for us to be able to paint the picture and just say, all right, cool, like clearly,
You're the villain. I'm the hero. Yeah.
exactly. And it's very easy. And another thing that I also want to say is that in any good writing, the lines have to be blurred, right? Um, the protagonist and the antagonist, right? And whoever you choose to see that person to be, it's very difficult because
Hmm.
in this story we will never fully understand, why those parents made that decision the way they did.
Hmm.
So really, who becomes now the protagonist? Who's
Yeah.
the hero here? Is it her? Is it
Yo.
him? Who you gonna
Yo.
hate, right? So I really
Yo.
want to see whose
And I
team
wanted that.
y'all on.
I wanted that so much. And like,
Yeah.
one thing that happened too with, I had to take out two whole chapters from the book.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because there was a whole different character
Hmm.
that was another external force, which was another love interest.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? For
I remember reading it the first time. I was like, "Who's this nigga?"
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You know what I mean? Who was
I was
like,
like, "Who's
it
this
was just
nigga?" Right?
introducing a whole new villain. It's like, yo,
Yeah.
you think the family,
Yeah.
both families are like the villains, and it's just this other dude. And throughout the story, I call him the guy just for like a
Yeah.
mysterious purpose. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But for legal, I'm just gonna term it legal purposes or whatever. We
Yeah,
had to eliminate that chapter and then write a whole new afterward. But I think, in doing so, it still kept and introduced a whole aspect of keeping the reader on the edge of this city. Like, yo, who really is the
yeah,
protagonist? You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah.
that love, just watching the life and then calling me. I don't understand. But
All
yeah,
right.
so it's like, yo, like who really is the protagonist, and
Yes.
is it are they both, you know, saying the hero and the heroine, co-hero,
Mhm.
co-heroine, or
Yeah.
is it Giannis? So I think that's interesting. Me, I don't even know myself.
Well, we're gonna leave it up to the people, man. We're
You know
gonna
what I
leave it up
mean?
to the people because
Yeah.
I genuinely feel like, to be honest, you, any African person that I know,
Hmm.
any African person that I know, I promise, at least knows one person. Forget it. Matter of fact, every African person that I know knows at least two people
Hmm.
that have had to deal, especially in their relationships, deal with the deep tribalism of what's going on, right?
Yeah.
And I think that is powerful, right? The one thing that
Hmm.
I want to ask you though, as somebody who's really interested, and I'm going to save my own comments for later, but what is your favorite? Like, I want you to read your favorite, lines from the book.
Mm.
Just give us a little taste, right? Just give us something to hold our heads still tomorrow.
Yeah, the conversation was somber and often filled with long periods of silence. I just literally flipped the book open and I'm
That
reading.
is, hey, that's the beauty of it, right? If the whole book good, then you can just open it to any page that you choose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, okay. I was somewhat okay with dropping the dating title, the idea of courtship or even marriage for a long while, and just focus on staying distant friends while we figure out a means to conquer this red tape for the sake of tranquility. I was scared, terribly scared. I have been there for Demi many times and won, saved and comforted her over and over. But this time, the focus against our relationship to seemed to have had me outgunned. The conversation was somber and often filled with long periods of silence. Not because we didn't know what to say to each other, but just because of the overwhelming nature of this situation.
Ah,
You
ah,
know
ah.
what I mean? Yeah. I li-
Transported. That's transported. Yo, y'all get the book, man. It's available so you can read it. It is not a long read for the people that be
oh,
like, oh, I
and
don't
that was
read.
done
Please.
strategically. Even just, going back to why I eliminated two whole chapters. Like when I first announced the book, everybody was like, "How many pages?" And I was like, "I'm
Yeah.
here.
Yep.
I'm
Yeah.
holding in my hand. I'm holding in my hand. Rich Dad Poor Dad. Let's see how
Yeah.
thick that is and how
Yep.
tiny the words are."
Yep.
People literally told me if it's more than 200 words, and like the demographic, like my mom, I
Hmm.
gave her a copy of the book a couple weeks ago, and she stayed up to 1 a.m. reading that joint. My
Yo, ain't
mom,
that a blessing though?
bro, like I've never seen her read anything but the Bible, and even the Bible, so she just reads like chapter, like
Yeah.
paragraphs here and there just to keep her spirit filled. But she was like, "This is entertaining." You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I
Yeah.
was like, "Yo, that is tough." And so that's like even why I wrote a book, because I knew music as an artist would hit that parent
Yes.
demographic. You know what I'm saying? And
Yes.
people who otherwise would not be interested in my music.
Yes.
I knew writing a blog about such a thing that I'm so passionate about would have fall flat. Somebody might repost it. People who really leave a paragraph of a comment or one line comment, this is dope. But having a book, you know what I mean, like would hit a market that I, would
Yes.
not otherwise. This is a whole new domain for me. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
been one of the
Yeah.
hardest things that I've ever done in my life. And I know you were asking me earlier about it, like the whole
Yes.
process, but you know what I mean? Like just being able to do a short read, the fastest, and I've had feedback from the fastest somebody has read this was 6 hours.
Yeah. Wow.
Um, yeah,
Wow.
somebody read it in 6 hours. That's fast. And then another person there
That's
has
one
taken them.
sitting.
Yeah, that one sitting. It took them 6 hours to read it, and then that's like thoroughly, what I'm saying, and not skimming. Then the longest so far has been 4 days.
Wow.
That's no shout out to Nahodia. She's like such a big
Yeah.
supporter.
Yeah.
She's like
That's my
she's
longest
wrestling with
reading
it. She's like
actually.
Oh, okay, dope, dope.
That's
She's like
that's
wrestling
my
with it.
former student. Yeah.
She's like, man, I had to put it down. I can't do. So it's taking, it's taking her a little while.
Yeah. No, so I think that, and even speaking about the process, right? Like the one thing that I knew from you from the beginning that you were going to complete this was again, and I spoke about this, your passion. So when you and I met, I remember you were taking notes. You know, you recorded, you know, my feedback, and I can tell that you were really into this, like you were going to do it,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of people don't understand. Everybody say, I want to write a book. I want to write a
Mm-hmm.
book. I want to write a book, but it is hard work,
Yeah.
right? Especially when you start reading. When you genuinely start reading and you start reading other people's literature and you want to be as good, everything else does not. Even sometimes you're writing, you would write it today and you get up tomorrow and you're like, what the hell is going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why writing, the best writing is rewriting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Any good writing is rewriting, and sometimes there will be 7, 8, 9 drafts to
Mm-hmm.
something, and
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
sometimes you might literally. Some days I've taken literally hours to write 3 sentences.
What you
Three,
telling, bro? Who you telling?
three.
And
And to
yeah, I
be
would.
honest, it takes so long, but those 3 sentences are easily the best sentences that I've ever written,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And it's worth it. It's
yeah.
worth it.
I would be remiss, so you mentioned taking notes and say I would be remiss if I don't, again, like thank you and shout out people like, my brother AK, shout out to AK in
Yeah.
Michigan
Shout
and
out to
also
AK, man.
and
Yes.
also my partner and my girlfriend Kellen, man. Like there's been times,
Shout out to Kellen.
especially, like with a book being so close to me, it is I want to say 70% inspired by real events that I personally
Mm,
went through and also
hmm.
borrowed from other people's stories,
Yes.
and 30% just completely made up.
Mm.
But you know what I'm saying, like her, just trooping, like speaking of Kellen, just trooping through, what I'm saying, like the ups and the downs of me just going through nights of like, yo, I don't
Wow.
feel like doing this, and her
Doing
just,
it anymore.
you know what I'm saying, like encouraging me, and also just times when I had to like, what I'm saying, like financially or what I'm saying, like just physically, spiritually, just encouraging me and pushing me. And also just you, man, what I'm saying, like
Yes,
just
sir.
your support has been tremendous, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like reposting, sharing,
Always, man.
buying 11 copies.
Hey, man.
You
Hey, we
know what
gotta
I
get
mean? Like,
this books in people's hands. You know what I'm saying? We
yeah,
gotta get these
shout
books
out
in
to
people's
you,
hands.
man.
Yes.
11 copies coming your way, and I'm gonna sign those so you can give it out to
Yes. Yes,
whoever
please.
the 10 people is that you want to give it out to. And you know what I mean? Like my brother got a, he's in here as an advisor. He really didn't give me no
Yes.
advice. I just be
Yeah.
putting him in stuff because he's my brother.
And we got some questions here, bro. So
Yeah,
we
yeah,
definitely
yeah.
don't want to miss that. Ghanaian and Barbie said, what motivated you to finally write this book? And I know you've touched on that, but I want you to specifically answer it for her.
Hmm. The motivation was, what I'm saying, like just in 2020, having to hear stories of people still going through what this book is talking about.
Mm.
I was just an popular and prominent amazing dancer, Easy Odigui's live a
Hmm.
couple of days ago, and a
Hmm.
young lady who is from Congo was engaged to a young man who was South African, and she actually moved to South Africa, and
Wow.
they were engaged and had to break up the engagement because of tribalism and cross-cultural relationships. So it's like these people still going through this. My next door neighbor, who actually wrote the forward to the book, shout out to
Wow.
Temi Dio. He wrote the forward to the book. If y'all get a chance to read the beautiful words,
Oh yeah, the
married,
forward is powerful, man.
yeah, married to a his wife, I believe, is from Benin, and I don't want to go too much into their relationship and their life, but it's brought some serious, like, what I'm saying, like stuff, what I'm saying, to marriages and relationships that I personally know, you know what I mean.
Mm.
And having gone through it myself, I was just like, this is something that I don't know. The only close thing, that I've read is Stay With Me by
Ayubami. Ayubami.
Ayobami. But that was about, what I'm saying, like not being able to have kids, and the guy got mad, what I'm saying, like when it had.
Hmm.
So I haven't really seen, maybe I'm wrong, a story like this about cross-cultural relationships. And
Yeah.
what I'm saying, like even just as recent as I watched CNBC make it videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
That's a young lady. She makes $200,000 living in New York as a coder, and her boyfriend is Indian, And you know what I'm saying? Like they struggle with that. She's Nigerian. You know what I'm saying? It's
Mm.
2020. And so it's Demi and Giannis meet on social media. Who ain't met
That's
somebody on social
wait a
media
minute.
sliding?
Facts.
Who ain't sliding
Facts.
somebody's DMs, right? So it's a
Facts.
very relevant. It's not just about cross cultural relationships. It's
Yeah.
funny. It's a funny story. It's very
Yes.
relevant. It's relatable as far as you know what I'm saying. Just meeting somebody on the internet and you know what I'm saying, kicking it off. So I think it's
And young
something there
people.
for exactly being young. You know what I mean? I think it's something there for everybody, all
Everybody.
128 pages of it. And I think even if you don't you can't relate, buy it for somebody who you think
Yes.
will be able to relate.
So I got some other questions here, some statements. That's Jason for you. Oh, shout out Heidi, man. Happy
Yeah,
birthday.
Heidi is a real
Happy
one.
belated birthday,
Hey,
man.
Heidi,
She's mad love. All right, Tanea, amazing. I love her.
yeah, she's.
Could you see this book being turned into a series? Could it be turned into a film or a book series?
I'm gonna leave that to you, bro, because that's another thing too. You are, and you can speak a little bit about that. What your project is about.
Hmm.
I would love to. I would love to see this, you know what I'm saying? Like, I actually have people are familiar. I want you to talk about of One Blood, the film side,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
the cultural aspect of it. But
Yeah.
I have two 1 minute music videos, Flex Fridays, that it's
Hmm.
about the book that I haven't dropped. But we're gonna see.
Can we
Uh,
get that tomorrow since you're getting the
you
book?
see,
You
can we get?
know what I'm
I
saying?
don't know, man.
You
We're
know what I'm
gonna
saying?
see.
Can
So
we get that tomorrow? You know what I'm saying? Since you're getting the book, you feel me?
we'll
Um,
see. I gotta
get
get
it.
approval. I gotta get approval from Kellen if that's cool to put out. It's like no, she'll be cool with it. But I just gotta cross some, you know, what I'm saying, some T's and dot some I's if I
That's
can put
nice.
this out.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah, yeah.
I think that to answer that question, I think that she's asking, because there will be an interest in it. Clearly, not everybody will be into reading a book, but I certainly love that this does this. It forces our people to go out and read, and it might spark or engage people in the reading aspect, something that they've never been used to. Because once they
Hmm.
start reading it, they're like, all right, cool, maybe I can go read something else, and that can really jumpstart it. Let's see.
Hmm.
We got some other statements. Heidi said, I know being that we're African and of course the way we were raised, describe that feeling when your moms and pops touched the hard copy when you had them.
my
Yeah,
mom, my
please speak
mom
on
went like this. She went like this. She was like, oh, and she sang a little song. It
it.
was awesome because I was like, yo, look, you in this book.
How did you feel? How did you feel,
I
sis?
felt I felt blessed, man. I felt blessed because my dad, I know, you know what I'm saying? Like, I never seen him. He literally told me
Emotional.
he has never, you know what I mean, like read anything.
Yeah.
This was his exact same words. I didn't complete high school.
Wow.
I didn't complete college, but for you to
Wow.
write a 128, this is his exact same words. I remember it. I didn't complete high
Word.
school. I didn't complete college. For you to write a 128-page book, it speaks a lot. There's people
Yeah.
out there who have written 400-page books, but this is
Hmm.
a great start for you, son. We're proud of you.
Mm.
He said, "We're proud of you, and I know this is a start for more books. I'm going to
Wow,
try to.
man.
I'm going." He said, "I'm going to try to read it and complete it." He's on chapter 2. That man reads super slow. My mom is almost
Yeah.
done, but that
Yeah.
was a feedback. My mom took it, held it in her hand. She prayed for me. When people come in the house, not
Yeah.
when the corona, when people come to visit, because people still come see her stand outside, she's
Yeah.
like, "Yo, give." They're like, "Yo, give them a copy, give them a copy," and they're
Yeah.
paying for it.
Yeah.
Telling people pay
Wow.
for it, buy it
Wow.
double. So the support is incredible.
Wow.
They're super proud of it. My dad, when I wrote, I this is another thing too why we're having troubles with Amazon, and also him and somebody else who's watching right now who shall remain nameless.
Yeah.
When I did the about the author,
Hmm.
I didn't put that I had a master's because I just didn't feel like it
Yeah.
was I didn't
Well,
feel like
nah,
it
nah,
was
nah, nah. Don't do
I
that.
didn't feel
Don't do
like it.
that, bro.
That man was like, you better put that.
Don't. Yeah.
I
Don't do
had to
that, bro.
I had
I'm
to
finishing
recall
my
the book.
masters this week, so like, please don't. Yeah,
Bro,
man.
I had to recall the book. That's why we having trouble with Amazon. And now
Yeah.
it's on there and we so if anybody getting a book late, blame him.
Hey, man. Those things are special. Don said, shout out to Don, man. Great supporter, great friend. Don
Yeah.
said, I don't know if I'll be able to wait till October for the audiobook. And go ahead, cop the copy, the hard copy. You feel me? Get the hard copy, my man. All right,
Get the
it's
hard copy if you
128 pages. I'm
if you
sure you can read it. Ghanaian Barbie said, "I'm still waiting for my copy, Flex or Jason." Well, let's talk about that. You feel what I'm saying? We can definitely discuss that.
Jason, I want you to talk about your film project because it's a little bit parallel with this book.
Yes, yes. And certainly one thing, like I remember distinctly that day, and you shared the picture earlier today. That day when we met up, and I've been guarding my work and my writing because I'm so self-conscious.
Yeah.
Really, I'm so self-conscious about my writing that sometimes I'm so apprehensive about being able. Well, first of all, shout out to Heidi. She's ordering that book. I like that.
Yes.
I like seeing people get into action. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. But one thing certainly for me is that I'm always so self-conscious. That's why, like, to be honest, I got tons of poems that I haven't released that I'm afraid. And it's funny thing is I do get good feedback from my writing, but I always feel like it's not perfect enough. I always feel like it's not enough, it's not good enough, and I'm constantly maybe even comparing myself, and that's bad. But the Of One Blood Project has been with me for years, and the Of One Blood Project basically examines this relationship between Africans and African Americans through these three artistic mediums of film, song, and literature, right? So these are the projects that I've been working on for a while. But what it looks as is basically that breakdown between why are African Americans and Africans, why is there that divide amongst us? Why do we not, even though we are of the same blood, literally, even though we're of the same blood, what is it that separates us, right? Whether it be 400 years and the cultures that have risen and fallen over that time, and what is it? Are they external forces? Is it self-hate, right? And I really just try to explore that myself. And my goal really, and as we're seeing here as well, is because clearly the main characters here are from two African countries, right? So essentially the whole point or the whole purpose starts coming back to what is it that causes Black people to, not have that harmony or that unity amongst us and amongst who we are, right? So my hope is that we don't only examine the relationship between Africans and African Americans. My hope is that we examine the relationship between even intercontinental Africans. We examine the relationship between even African American communities here in the United States. We examine the relationship between my Caribbean brothers, because it's literally like deeply seated in us. And one of the reasons why we continue to be the most persecuted people all across the board. And I wanted to only speak on a story that I know, which is the relationship between Africans and African Americans.
That's so key. Yes, that's so key. Speaking of what you know what I mean? And that's so dope. Shout out to, sort of cut you short. Shout out to Don. I'm getting live updates. He just made an order on the website for a signed copy. Shout out to Don. And shout out to Masa. My sister Masa is giving away 5 free copies.
Shout out to Masa.
Give it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 5 copies right here.
Yes.
For 5 people right now. I want you to share this. Go on my page or Jason's page.
Yeah.
I think I posted a book. Go on my page. Share the book cover. Tag me on it. Say dropping midnight, and I'm picking 5 people who share it, and we're giving 5 copies, 5 signed copies to Masa. Is paying for it. It's paid for already. Shout out to Masa. Shout out to Don. Just made an order. I want to shout out Kimbo. Some other thing. I'm gonna get sorry, bro. Don't mean to cut you short. Kellen asked a question, but I'm gonna answer Kellen's question in a sec. But I think that's so dope, man. Like, you know what I mean? And you can only speak from what you know and what you experienced. And
Hmm.
That's where this is coming from, right? And that's
Yes.
where it becomes such a real thing that you can, like, you know what
Personal.
I'm saying, like,
Personal.
man, I want to read what you wrote in the back of the book. Shout out to Jason. He wrote
Yeah.
the blurb in the back. And he's the only. Usually, when you pick up books, there's a bunch of quotes. You get your own.
Nah,
He
shout out. I
said,
appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. You give me a little shine, man. I
yeah,
appreciate
he said, I told Reflex Ebon Bat's debut novel. That's my name, by the way, for all
it.
y'all
Yeah,
who
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
know. I'm
Yeah.
gonna just say Reflex debut novel is a heart-wrenching tale of the audacity of love and his daring to bend the callous hands of tribalism towards his destiny.
Mm.
This beautifully crafted story juxtaposes the conflicts and confines of ethnic purity against the influences of desire and
Yeah.
fate.
Yeah.
Those words are powerful. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
I when it came time to write those words, man, I was really thinking about that. Like, what words can I use to be able to justify what I've
mhm,
written, right? And that's literally what it is. It really comes down to people trying to fight these callous hands of tribalism and literally bend it to its fate and say
mhm,
that, yo, because you see the struggle amongst them. You
mhm,
see that struggle between this couple and them just trying to hold on, even with the last bit of strength that is left.
mhm,
And I absolutely love that. But
mhm,
I even love more so that your parents are reading it, that my parents get to read it,
mhm,
and that some of my other African brethren's parents get to read it too. Because I know
mhm,
there's probably somebody right now watching this live video that is going through it. You
mhm.
know what I'm saying? That can
Facts.
relate.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So this is necessary
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
only through education that we can be able to. Because honestly, sometimes we can't talk to our parents like this.
Mm-mm.
It's hard.
Mm-mm. I'm at the
So
other
maybe.
I'm at the other side of the pendulum right now, and it's
Mm,
bliss. It's
hmm
bliss. You know what I mean?
mm,
Like that acceptance, that love, that you know what I'm saying? And it's like,
yeah,
I want somebody to be able to experience that without
yeah,
that prejudice, you know what I mean?
yeah.
And for me to have gone through that and to produce this and being able to experience that right now, it's
hmm
like, wow, this is what somebody can experience, but it can
hmm
only come through education, through
hmm
awareness, and through tearing down those walls of fear and prejudice
Yeah.
of just being able to say, hey, let's have an understanding because Giannis didn't have that opportunity, you know what I'm saying, to put his best foot forward and have a conversation and state his case. And so just saying, being able to create an avenue where people can have that. If there's
Yeah.
some other thing where it's just like, okay, this clearly, is bigger than us, as opposed
Yes.
to just you from here and I'm from here. We
hmm
if it's deeper issues, okay, we can tack it up. But if it's just, what I'm saying, it's stuff that it's like, yo, we of one blood.
Yeah.
We can,
Like,
what I'm
that's
saying?
the denial. Yeah.
Yeah. But to answer
Let's go through these questions, bro. Um.
Kelly's question,
mhm.
she says, what was the most surprising thing you learned in creating your book?
Yeah, I want to know that too.
Oh my
I want to
goodness,
know that.
man. If you would have told me, I'm completely honest.
Yeah.
As happy as I am that this book is coming out tomorrow, that we have a physical in our hands. If
Yeah.
you would have told me that this was gonna be so much stress, I probably would have. I probably would have did it. I'm so
Yeah.
serious, bro. I've done, and you probably noticed.
Yep.
About I've done about 80 hours of YouTube videos and studying to be able to self-publish. I've read about, to put it in days, I've read about a month worth of, and that's 24-hour days of material online and in books. In my library back here, I have books from Stephen King, from different, what I'm saying, like writers of teaching how to write a book. That was the hardest thing. The hardest thing was, what I'm saying, like just where do I start, man? Like the legal aspect, what I'm saying, like
Yes.
her, what I'm saying, Kellen being a lawyer herself.
hmm
Like I was like, yo, what you mean I gotta do this, that, and the third just
hmm
to cover my butt, what I'm saying, like down the road,
Yo,
just the
shout
legal
out to Kelly,
aspect.
man. I'm gonna have to come to you to get my book stuff in line. You know what I'm
Yo,
saying?
I'm tired of spending money. I'm like every little thing is spending money. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? And
Yes.
also just finding an editor, finding
Yeah.
illustrator, you know what I'm saying? Like just the hard, man, like I don't even know. I'm flustered. I don't even know where to start. But the most surprising that I didn't know was when you're done, I've released music. I've released, some poetry. I've released, like music videos. But when you're done with such a huge project, I was so surprised to find out how rewarding it is. Like
Yeah.
there was just so much joy. And this was like the first edit.
Mm.
I got a proof copy and I just looked at it and I
Wow.
was like, dang, I wrote a book.
Yes.
That was like, I didn't know how I was like, I was sitting in my room, like just like palpitating, like, what I'm saying? I was
Wow.
like shook.
Wow.
And like that to me was like, I know that pretty much like is nobody can relate to that, but I was just surprised that I could do it. It was like
Damn, I'm
Jordan, you know
trying
what I'm
to get
saying? Like,
that feeling
you know what I'm saying?
too.
Like it's like Michael Jordan when
Oh
somebody said you
man.
can't do something. I
Yeah.
was like, dang, I did it. Like I said it out loud, sitting right here, because I did most of the writing here. I was
Yeah.
like, dang, I did it. Because I did most of the writing at work. You know what I'm saying? Like at my desk at work, and also in the library. Shout out to Prince George's Laurel Branch Library.
The library. Yep.
Yeah, and I did another part of the writing right here. So,
So
of
let's
course, you.
go through this. King K said, "Wait, reflex." Now you did read the audiobook, or now would you read it? So basically, translation for my non-African people, folk here who don't understand that, he's basically asking Flex. The audiobook is slated to be coming in October, but
Yes.
he's asking Flex like, "Yo, is it Flex's voice that's going to be on there, or is who another person's voice?" Don, shout out to the order, man. Thank you so much. King K, y'all thinking that I'm just the one asking the questions. Don said, Kimbo, I was thinking the same thing. LOL. Don, I'm hip. Don, Jay said, when is your book dropping? That's a loaded question, sir. Um, that's a loaded question, but I'll tell you this, though. I'll tell you this. To be honest, the Of One Blood project, I am so excited that we're coming to the end of it. I can promise you for sure that the entire project will be dropping this fall. All of it. I promise you. I promise you, it doesn't matter what I have to do. The entire project will be dropping this fall. And shout out to Donch, man. He makes a nice cameo in the film. So yeah, you know
Hey.
what I'm saying? Shout out, man. But
Hey, you just
King K.
promised on live video. This is going on YouTube, so we got a clip to cut. And shout out to Don. She said every time Jason starts to answer a question, I open dictionary type.
Hey, go ahead, man. Hey,
I'm
stop
gonna
it, bro.
I'm gonna read for King K. This is for King K for
Oh yeah,
everybody.
please go ahead.
This is from chapter 3. The title of this chapter is Be My Woman.
Yeah, let me
And I'm gonna read this here. This is just a preview for audiobook, but with audiobook you make mistakes and you clean it up. But
you can leave
let's
it up.
see.
Yeah.
Let me see. I invited Demi to extend the evening and take a walk with me around the town center, where we sat fellowshipping over chicken burritos with our beloved friends. It was a walk around the park like no other. With each stride, my mind became more transparent and more resolute. It was beginning to get dark as the impending night teased the sky into twilight. Curiosity sat slowly on her face as we slowly Curiosity sat slowly on her face as she wondered why I called her away from our gathering with our friends on a soul mission. The boulevard was sentient, living through the trees and through the people, as
Mm.
if they were in a conversation of some sort, one of sentiments. It
Ah,
was as though the sound and colors, the movements, and the still spaces were thousands of weaved moments, both transient and real. Her eyes were plastered on me. The setting sun painted bright red on her cheeks,
ah.
caressing her skin, promising new dawn and new beginning as the wind shifted her hair roughly, as the wind shifted her hair around purposefully.
Yo.
And then he goes on to ask her
Yes.
out and be
hmm
my woman. Da 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 da
Yo,
da.
you know, one of the joys, like the great joys for me, is
I was nervous here.
being able to remember when this was at like such an infant stage, and now to see how the words are crafted. I remember one of the notes that I wrote for you is, I
Yes.
want to be able to see the pictures. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to be able to see, and I can almost taste it, right? Like, I can
Yeah.
almost taste it, that I can see the sun hitting her face. I can see it, right? And that is the beauty of this, man. But let's get
Yeah.
back to these comments, man. You know, I'm
He said
rapping.
I was nervous, boy.
Yeah. Ghanaian Barbie, you and I both dodged. Tinaya said, Please, how do I get a signed copy? Yo, hit us up. Hit Flex up, man. He's going to respond. He should be available all tomorrow. He ain't working
Yes,
because it's
I
his
ain't working.
birthday.
No, yeah.
Um, a question from Spicy Black __. Is there anything you find particularly challenging in your writing? Let's hear it.
Oh, that's dope. I found it challenging, and you just said it. I found it challenging. I found myself, you know what I'm saying, like telling the story laterally, and you know what I'm saying, like there was times where I was just telling what, you know, I wanted to say and
Mm,
not inviting the reader into the
yeah,
characters' minds.
yeah.
And you know what I'm saying, the story is mainly told from Yana's mind and Demi's mind.
Mhm.
Mostly from Yana's mind, but briefly from Demi's mind. And so I found it very challenging to tell it from, you know what I'm saying, invite the characters into their minds, and also like even the parents, like, yo, what were they thinking
Yeah,
in saying what they said and did what they did. So I wanted the reader to be able to get in those spaces and also just paint those pictures. That was really hard for me. That was new for me, even though I'm a rapper. And Jason, you know, as much credit, you know, to you for, you know what I'm saying, like pushing that out of me. I
amen.
really had to go back and, like, you know what I'm saying, like say, okay, let me flush this out some more. Let me
Yeah,
paint a better picture. And
mm,
that was challenging, man. It was a lot of
yeah,
challenge, really. And I think it was worthwhile, because when you
yeah.
read it, it's like, dang, I feel like I'm in there. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
So
yes, yes. Invite the audience in. Spicy Black __. Thank you so much for that question. Don said, "I'm in the movie, y'all." Yes, he is, man. He does a great job. Yeah, life is life is Heidi. Dope, dope. Creating avenues and introducing convos like this is so important because we all know one or two people fighting tribalism in their relationships.
yes,
Yes, yes, so true. Masa said BMW. I don't understand the reference, but maybe Flex, you do. Um,
Masa is giving away 5 copies, signed
oh
copies. So
yes,
if you
yes,
ain't purchased a book yet, heat up,
yeah.
go
Hop
repost.
on. Oh, and let me say this too, right?
Hmm.
Those of you who receive the free copies, when you read the book and the book is good, pay it forward. Pay it forward. You feel me, right? This is the only way that, especially as independent doing
Creatives.
independent creators, publishers. I know Flex did. What's it called?
Ooh, that's a
Uh, you
good
did
question.
you did the monthly. What's it called? But yeah, please, independent writers, independent. This is how we support them. So if you get the free copies, man, please, if you read it and you love it, please pay it forward. Buy a
Hmm.
copy for somebody else, right? Tell
Yes.
somebody about it, even if you can't, buy. All right, Tinaya, please help me launch my voiceover career. King K say boys nervous. I think that's when you was about to read.
Yeah, he
King
asked
K
a
boys
question. He
nervous.
said, when you
Mhm.
decided to write your book, what came first, the plot or the characters? For me, it was
Ooh, great
from
question.
yeah, for me the plot was already given, and the characters came second. And I think you for, like, if you creating a story which is nonfiction, you want to create the characters first. But
Yeah.
for a hybrid or a nonfiction story, you want to create a plot first. For me, the plot was already created, and then the characters came second. There's Giannis and Demi are inspired by real events, real characters.
Mm-hmm.
And then the parents are real characters, but then there's fictional characters that were added onto it.
Yeah.
Kellen asked you a question, Jason. He said, "How do you know when your story is finished and when to walk away?"
um, to be honest, so I'm a use the words of another one of my good one of my friends pages, Matam, great Cameroonian poet. He actually runs Buzz Boys and Poets. He dope, man. He's really really dope. He runs the poetry division of Buzz Boys and Poets. But he once said, and I'm borrowing from him. He once said that what you want to see is you want to see the book kind of grow. So go from, like, literally go through school. You want to see your characters go through elementary school, go through middle school, and basically these are like draft stages, right? Go through high school, go to college, graduate, and then you can say, well, you're ready to go out to the world.
Mhm.
That's essentially you releasing. But the truth about it is, it's, for me, you just have to at some point make a decision.
Yeah.
Because if you're seeking that perfection, the character will always be flawed. Your pen is always going to scribble and make another mistake,
Yeah.
right? There is always going to be something for you to hang on and hold on to and
Yeah.
say that this is not enough,
Mm-hmm.
right? But the
Oh,
one
this
thing
is
that
too much.
I would say, yes, the one thing that I would say for me, what makes a character ready is when I feel like the message, at least people can get the message from what from what I'm trying to display.
Mm-hmm.
If I am able to, and that's why it's so important to have editors,
Mm-hmm.
people who can read and give you honest feedback, right? Who are not going to hold back. And typically, you want to pick people that you can trust, people that you don't have to ever feel like they're bashing you instead of trying to make you better. And that's very difficult to discern. So for me, all I would say is, um, my story is ready to go out to the world when I feel like it fully embodies the message that I'm trying to pass on.
Yeah, we got 9 minutes left.
Mm-hmm.
Got a question from King K. Are we gonna see more of Reflex the author or Reflex the musician? And that's a couple questions with
Good one.
Guinea and Barbie. What are your long-term goals as an author? You are you're gonna see more of Reflex the author. And today actually just I got a request to be a guest writer on a portrait book. So shout out to
Mm-hmm.
God. Shout out to
Mm-hmm.
God for that. You know, so just on the strength of an unreleased book. It's still
Yes.
unreleased. I got a
Yes.
request to be a guest writer of a collection of portrait book by an author who's releasing in next June. So definitely gonna see more
That's
of Reflex
dope,
the
man.
author. Yeah. So
That's dope. That's
yeah,
really good.
praise God for that, and
Yes.
looking forward to do more collaborations like that. But I'm also already starting to work on my next title, which is gonna be a collection of short stories and essays.
Nice.
And it's gonna be out in the fourth quarter of 2022 by God's grace. And
Mm.
one of the stories, the first story actually, and I already started writing, is gonna be on FMG, female FGM, female genital mutilation. It's gonna be
Yes.
a short story and short essays and poetry, not poetry, short stories and essays. What did I say? I'm tired. It's gonna be a collection of short stories and essays. So I'm just touching on different subjects. I'm going to touch on FMG. I already know I'm going to touch on FMG, FGM, female genital mutilation, and I'm also going to touch on something that's very dear to my heart as well, which is the story of, and I know a very prominent Cameroonian author is already writing a book on this.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to the Mbele Boy out of I'm
Yeah.
butchering her name.
Mbolomboy.
Yeah,
Mbolomboy.
she's writing a fictional novel right now based on the story of Shell and the oil spill in Nigeria. But hers is fictional. But I'm going to be touching on an essay on that story. A lot of you don't know, but I actually boycotted Shell for a year because of that.
Mm.
I'm gonna talk about that in my next book.
Mm.
So yeah, it's gonna be stuff like that. And my next book is gonna be out fourth quarter 2022. But yeah, man.
This man already
Um,
on the next book, man.
yeah.
Crazy. Crazy.
Music is gonna be like, you know, it's like now music is always gonna be in the fiber. So
Yeah.
Sound God, if you're watching, send me my verse back, please. But yeah, man, listen, the book drops midnight. We officially
Midnight.
launch.
Midnight.
Jason is giving out your copies, your 10 copies
Oh,
already
my copies
claimed.
are all gone, bro.
Yeah,
All gone.
Masa is giving away 5 copies. Shout out to
Yes.
Chuchu, my sister Chuchu. She's giving away 1 copy. Um, my brother AK is giving away 5 copies.
Yes.
So
Shout out to the support, man.
yeah,
Yo.
so if you want to get a
Shout out to the
copy, all you
support.
gotta do is just repost the stuff, and I'm just literally
Mhm.
grabbing names of my tags and just sending books. But yeah, man, I'm super excited. Tomorrow is my birthday as well. We're doing a YouTube party.
Yes.
I'm gonna give up, you know, the Zoom number. People can call in, and you know what I'm saying, like we're gonna have a party on Zoom, but it's gonna stream on YouTube. I'm
Yes.
just looking forward to a good time. It starts at 7 p.m. Jason, I'm looking forward to your movie, your booking, your
Yes.
soundtracks, man. This has
Yeah.
been dope, bro. This has really been fun, man.
I'm excited, man, and shout out to you, man. Like I think that I don't think you quite understand what you're doing. I think it was a necessary must to not only help you give you my thoughts on the book and advise you about the book, but to actually support you, right? Because
Hmm.
as I told you, I'm learning so many different things from you. Literally, your process can be the blueprint for many young independent authors like myself from
Hmm.
Africa, man. Many of my other brothers and creatives, just like us, who are trying to learn and trying to break into this, right? Through
Hmm.
you, we can be able to come to you and say, "Yo, this is what I'm about to do. Provide me with advice on that." But
Hmm.
it's also just seeing us succeed,
Yes.
because that's one thing that we don't see enough of. It's also literally just seeing us succeed. I am only here, and I've only been able to create the Of One Blood project because of support, because
Hmm.
of leaning on people, right? And I think that
Hmm.
that's the one power that we have more than anything else, and that's why I really call on each other. That is the only way that our communities are going to grow, right? if
Yes.
we if we literally lend um, on a badge support that does not envy, support that literally it's all about just seeing people win. All right,
Hmm.
so please, man, if you're out there, put the word out. If you're getting a free book, like I said, when you read it, I said, mind you, here are the key words: when you read it and you like it, not
Hmm.
if you read it and you like it. When you read it and you like it, pay it forward, man. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? If you like it, if you don't even have the money to buy somebody a copy, just pass the word on.
Yes.
It doesn't take much to be able to say, "Yo, there's a new book." You know what I'm saying? Go read that and let's have a conversation on it. Let's start this conversation. Yo, I'm super proud of you, bro. Thank you so
Hmm.
much for
Bless.
sticking through it. For everybody else that has supported him, yo, shout out to y'all, man, because we need that. All right.
Yes.
So yeah,
The book is
that's it.
called No Such Thing as Halfway. It's my debut
Yeah,
novel.
yeah, yeah.
Man, backed by Jason himself. I appreciate y'all, man. Thank you to
Yeah.
everybody who watched. Heidi, Tanaya, Kellen, I love
Yeah.
you. Masa, shout out to you. Donj, man, there's a lot of people who checked in.
Yes. Yes.
We
A
got what,
lot.
2 more minutes? Hey, appreciate y'all, man. Go cop the book. It's right now live on Amazon. We're back on Amazon, y'all. Barnes and
Yes.
Noble, my website. Yeah, man.
Tune in
This
for
is
that party tomorrow. You feel me?
yeah, it's gonna be lit. I'm making mimosa. You know?
Yes. Tune in for that party tomorrow, man. Let's
Hey,
turn
bro.
up.
Hey,
Yeah.
appreciate you, man. Thank you so much,
Yes,
bro.
sir. It's
Yes,
been
sir. This
great
has
talking
been
to you,
dope.
my
This has
man.
been dope.
Yes,
All
sir.
right.
All right, bro.
Yeah, man. Hey, this is love. This is love. That's what it's about. Just creating avenues for things like this. Oh man, this shout out to Jason, man. What are we wearing? Shout out to Lala. She came late. I'm rapping now. Go buy the book, y'all. I love y'all, man. The support is incredible. And with 2 minutes left, I just want to say no such thing as halfway. Yeah,